Hey guys, and welcome back to Mad About Skin. Now, if I was to tell you there's an ingredient which, when included in your skincare routine, can help tackle redness and inflammation, calm sensitivity in the skin, regulate the oil production, prevent breakouts, tackle any hyperpigmentation that you might be having, even out the skin tone, and even protect the skin's barrier and provide some antioxidant support, you'd want that in your skincare routine, right? Well, sometimes when something sounds too good to be true, often it can be. And this is where it comes down to niacinamide, the wonder vitamin that everybody now wants in their skincare routine. It crops up in just about every single skincare ingredient on the market. In fact, Naturium, the skincare line by Susan Yara, has a whole collection dedicated to niacinamide where you can literally have it in every step of your skincare routine. But recently people have started reporting issues with using niacinamide, saying that it causes purging, breakouts, redness, peeling, sensitivity, all the things we just don't want in our skin. So let's strip it back, look at whether there's any truth to these claims, and work out how much is too much when it comes to niacinamide. Niacinamide, at its basic, is a B vitamin. It's vitamin B3. Most people associate vitamins with doing great things for our health, our hair, our skin, our nails. They're the foundation blocks for life and things that we all need in our diet and in our skincare routine. However, all vitamins, like all ingredients, you can use too much of them and then start seeing some adverse side effects. Some only takes a small amount to see those side effects, and some, like niacinamide and other B vitamins, you can really use quite a bit before you start seeing those adverse effects. However, there comes a point when those effects do become prevalent in the skin, and this could be a cause for concern with some people. That tipping point differs from person to person, so we're going to get into it and work out what percentages you need in your life, or maybe you should remove niacinamide completely. There are three possible causes for this reported purging, redness, irritation that some people are suffering. One is they may genuinely have an allergic reaction to niacinamide. This is reasonably rare. Most studies show that vitamin B3 and niacinamide is well tolerated in most skin types and for most people. It is very compatible with our natural skin's state, and so actually the chances of being allergic to it are pretty minimal. Of course, you can be allergic to everything, which is why we always say patch test before you use a product, but I would say the chances of it being an allergic reaction which is causing this are pretty minimal, which comes us to the other two potential reasons why this is occurring. Number two, it might actually not be the niacinamide at all. It's become really trendy to bash niacinamide at the moment. It goes in cycles. You know, we were all on the niacinamide bandwagon 2 years ago, and now people are starting to question it. So of course, when a product they use which contains niacinamide causes a reaction, immediately we go to the niacinamide to be the issue. It could actually just be guilty by association, and there might be other ingredients in that product which are causing the issue. I actually covered this in a video where I looked at the order is niacinamide 10% plus zinc 1% serum. I'll leave a link to that video up there. So if that's the issue, if that's the product that's causing you the issue, check out that video, because I think that'll break it down a little bit more and just say, actually, it's not the niacinamide that's causing the problem, it's some of the other ingredients within that. Finally, and third, and this is the one I think is probably most likely to be causing the purging, the irritation, and the breakouts that you're suffering when you introduce niacinamides into your routine, and that is that we're overdoing it. No ingredient, whichever ingredient we're talking about, no ingredient is benign and without side effects, and these side effects occur at different concentrations. So some you can absolutely heap into your skincare routine without very much risk of a side effect, and some you have to be much more careful with. Whilst niacinamide, I would say, is one of those products that is more well tolerated by the skin, there's still a risk of overdoing it, and this is what I really wanted to sit down and talk about in this video. When is too much niacinamide too much? So let's break it down. If you turn your skincare products, you'll find that most of them contain niacinamide. Now, some companies state the percentage of niacinamide included in their products and some don't. As a general rule of thumb, I would work on the fact that if the percentage isn't stated, it's probably a very low percentage. That's because it's one of those trendy ingredients that companies want to boast about. If they're giving you a high percentage of niacinamide, they're going to shout about it and they're going to put what that percentage is on the product, which is something we've seen crop up quite a lot in our recent skincare purchases. So if it doesn't state the percentage, assume it's on the lower 1 to 2% concentration. Otherwise, work on the percentage that's stated. Now, scientific studies have shown if you're using niacinamide for oil control purposes, so say you want to prevent breakouts, maybe mop up some of that excess oil, which niacinamide is fantastic at doing. Studies have shown it works best at around a 2 to 3% concentration. If you're using it for hyperpigmentation, which is another thing people really love niacinamide for, it can help even out the skin tone, it can help tackle those dark spots and hyperpigmentation. Studies have shown it's most effective for treating that uneven skin tone at around the 4 to 6% concentration. Now, if you look at the concentrations on most of the bottles, it's in the region of 10, 12, 20%. That's way in excess of what any of these studies have shown niacinamide to be beneficial at. And that's where I think we come into the overloading it in our skincare routine. Also, these things compound. So if you've got a 2% in your cleanser, you've then got a 10% serum, you've maybe got 3 or 4% in your moisturizer. This all compounds to add together to give you a much higher percentage than maybe what you think you're actually using, which is the percentage which is shown on the serum that you're using specifically to get niacinamide in your life. So that's always something to be aware of. So why is all this a problem? Why is this compounding of the percentage of niacinamide product on product on product an issue? Well, it all comes down to overloading the skin. So our skin can only tolerate, absorb and use a certain amount of each ingredient which comes in our skincare routine. When you start to overload it, it starts to be unable to process that properly, which is why you then might get some of the redness, the irritation, the peeling, the breakouts, and the things that people associate with purging of the skin, which is that breakout in a localized area. But actually it's probably just your skin rejecting the higher concentrations of the product that you're putting on it. Also, the issue comes about because there was some studies which have shown that niacinamide can convert in low pH environments to nicotinic acid. Nicotinic acid causes flushing and redness in the skin. Now, actually, niacinamide is reasonably stable. So the percentage that it translates in a low pH environment to the nicotinic acid is absolutely minuscule. There's not been any hard and fast data showing the exact percentages under certain pHs, but it's a very small amount. That small amount, though, of course, gets bigger and bigger the more niacinamide that you have on your skin at the time. So if you add your niacinamide with other lower pH products, such as an exfoliating acid or a vitamin C, pure form vitamin C, that of course then could convert in small quantities to that nicotinic acid, which could cause some irritation and some flushing in the skin. Now, at small percentages and small concentrations, the amounts are going to be so minuscule, it's actually not going to make a meaningful difference, and which is why I say it's perfectly safe to use a niacinamide and a vitamin C together, or a niacinamide and an exfoliating acid together, because the concentrations, the percentages of that convert are so small. However, if you really ramp up the amount of niacinamide on your skin and in your skincare routine, then by association, you're going to be increasing the amount, which is going to then convert into that nicotinic acid, which could be providing some of that redness, irritation, and flushing in the skin. So that's something to really be aware of. I would always stick to a niacinamide in the 5 to 10% category. I think that's usually the best in terms of what's easily accessible on the skincare market and what you can really work with and the skin can tolerate. Anything beyond that, and I think that's when you start to risk the redness, the inflammation, the sensitivity, the peeling, and the potential breakouts and purging. I would definitely look to minimize the amount of products in your routine that contain niacinamide. You do some investigative work and work out which serums, which cleansers, which moisturizers actually do and don't contain niacinamide, and try to limit the number of products which actually contain niacinamide to around 2 or 3 in your routine. That way you're going to minimize the compounding effect of adding the niacinamide in every single step of your routine. Also, I would probably toss out that standalone niacinamide serum. I think we've all fangirled hard over the ordinary niacinamide 10% plus zinc 1% serum. We've all loved the Paula's Choice niacinamide booster and the others. I just think we're, again, risking overload. When it's present in so many products, do you need a standalone serum? If you take out that serum, you're cutting out 10% concentration of niacinamide like that. It's one of the easiest fixes to prevent this. So maybe just question whether you actually need a standalone niacinamide in your routine. Finally, I'd also consider including some calming and soothing beneficial ingredients into your skincare routine as well to offset any of the redness, the flushing or the dryness you could be getting from niacinamide. Something like panthenol, which is fantastic, something like allantonin, all these things can really help to calm and soothe the skin if you're finding some of your products a little bit irritating. My go-to is the Geek and Gorgeous Liquid Hydration, which when you just dab it onto the skin, it just calms and soothes everything and will prevent any of that flushing or that redness from getting any worse. You could also use some calming repair balms, but again, turn and check that none of them contain niacinamide because you just don't want to be making the situation worse. I hope this video kind of explains some of the pitfalls with using niacinamide and how, whilst it's a perfectly safe ingredient to have in your routine and the results can be stunning, it's a gorgeous ingredient. Overusing it, like with any other ingredient, overuse can trigger side effects, which we just want to avoid. So hopefully that's helped you work out what percentage might be right for you. As a general rule, the 5 to 10 I think works for most people. If you're prone to sensitivity, go to the lower end of that spectrum. If you don't have any pre-existing sensitivity, you can push it a little bit further to get those quicker results. But within that spectrum, I'd say is probably the best. I did a whole video showing my best niacinamide products and how to apply it correctly, which I'll leave a link to up there. So check that out if you want some further hints and tips or just want to explore explore niacinamide a little bit further. I hope you found this useful. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe, and wherever you are in the world, guys, stay safe, stay well, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care. Bye.